Welcome to Laboratories e-learning portal. We are going to learn data integrity and good documentation practices. Below are the references for data integrity and good documentation practices. WHO Guidance, Annexure 5. FDA Guidance for Industry. Data Integrity and Compliance with CGMP. EU Guidance, Volume 4 GMP. MHRA Guidance. GXP Data Integrity Guidance and Definitions. Other references. ICHQ 7 Good Manufacturing Practices. ISO IEC 17025, 2017. ISO 13485, 2016. ISO 15189, 2022. Background of Data Integrity Guidelines. Why data integrity is very important. Data integrity guidelines are introduced based on experience of regulators on CGMP violations, such as FDA, EU, MHRA, TGA, etc. Observed that increasing in CGMP violations involving data integrity during CGMP inspections by the regulatory inspectors. FDA has included data integrity in different section of 21 CFR Part 2 11, 21 CFR 2 12, and 21 CFR Part 11. Data integrity. What is data integrity? Data integrity refers to the completeness, consistency, and accuracy of data. Completeness means all the relevant information of activity performed should be available and it should help in reconstruction of activity performed. Consistency means records should be generated or documented in chronological order with time and date. Accuracy means data should be correct without any modifications or manipulations. Complete, consistent, and accurate data should be attributable, legible, contemporaneously recorded, original or a true copy, and accurate. Metadata. What is metadata? Metadata is often described as data about data. Metadata is structured information that describes, explains, or otherwise makes it easier to retrieve, use, or manage data. Example, 100. This 100 will not indicate anything without metadata. If we add metadata such as %, mg per kg, liters, minutes, seconds, etc., it gives the meaning to 100. Data should be maintained throughout the record's retention period, with all associated metadata required to reconstruct the activity. Audit trail. What is audit trail? An audit trail refers to a secure, computer-generated, time-stamped electronic record that allows for reconstruction of the course of events relating to the creation, modification, or deletion of an electronic record. An audit trail is a chronology of the who, what, when, and why of an electronic record or paper record. Electronic audit trails include those that track creation, modification, or deletion of data. What is ALCOA? A refers to attributable. L refers to legible. C refers to contemporaneously recorded. O refers to original. A refers to accurate. Attributable is the first principle of ALCOA, out of 5 principles. Attributable means information is captured in the record so that it is uniquely identified as executed by the originator of the data. Examples of non-compliance to attributable are activity performed by one person and data recorded by another person. Common user account usage means one user ID and password using by multiple people. All the people involved in the activity are not traceable from the data recorded. Legible is the second principle of ALCOA, out of 5 principles. Legible means data are readable, understandable, and allow a clear picture of the sequencing of steps or events in the record. To comply with this principle, good documentation practices plays a major role. Examples of non-compliance to legible are: manual recorded data is documented in a way that it is not readable. Multiple overwriting, multiple corrections on recorded data. Faded paper documents upon storage. Example: thermal sensitive papers. Contemporaneous is the third principle of ALCOA. Contemporaneous data are data recorded at the time they are generated or observed. It indicates on-time documentation or on-time recording of data. Examples of non-compliance to contemporaneously recorded are: data not recorded at the time of activity performed. Advance entries. Backdated entries. Time overlay, such as same person documented to different activities at one time point. Example: analysis time, employee entry and exit times are mismatching. Employee entered the lab after starting the analysis and documented as same employee performed the analysis. Original is the fourth principle of ALCOA. Original data include the first or source capture of data or information and all subsequent data required to fully reconstruct the conduct of the GXP activity. Examples of non-compliance with original are: unauthorized alteration or correction of documents, rewriting of documents or records without approvals, deletion of audit trails, deletion or modification of electronic data. No control is on computerized systems to avoid unauthorized access. Accurate is the fifth principle of ALCOA. The term accurate means data are correct, truthful, complete, valid, and reliable. Examples of non-compliance to accurate are: data recorded without performing the activity, actual data not reported. ALCOA Plus. ALCOA Plus stands for complete, consistent, enduring, and available. Over a time periods, data integrity concepts expand from ALCOA to ALCOA Plus for ensuring data security and integrity. Complete. Complete refers to data with all the metadata without any deletion. Examples of non-compliances to complete are: reanalysis or reprocessing of chromatographic data and not reported, failed test data not reported, trail testing data not reported. These examples refers to incomplete data or incomplete information. Consistent. Consistent refers to data consistently recorded, and data is date and time stamped in a sequential manner. Data should be recorded in chronological order. Consistency is very important to reconstruct the activity. Examples of non-compliances to consistent are: data not recorded as per the sequential activity performed, electronic data not generated as per the sequential date and time manner. Enduring. Enduring refers to data recorded in authorized media, such as controlled paper, controlled electronic media, and those recorded data should be retainable. Data should be recorded in approved control documents only. Uncontrolled documents should not be used for recording the data. Examples of non-compliances to enduring are data recorded in personal books, rough papers, uncontrolled records, and blank papers. Available. Available refers to data should be readily available whenever needed. Example for review or for inspection purpose. Data should be available throughout the document life cycle, such as from creation of data to retention and disposal of document. During the audits or inspections, data should be submitted within stipulated time. For example, within 1 hour or 2 hours, or within the timeline given by the auditor or inspector. Most of industries received the observations when data is not retrieved within stipulated time. If organization failed to submit the data within stipulated timeline, it may be assumed that data is not generated or organization is not having effective retrieval mechanism. Examples of non-compliances to available are failure to submit the documents or records for review or for inspections, lost the data or documents within retention period. ALCOA++. In this, one additional criteria included to the ALCOA Plus principles. Latest ALCOA criterion is traceable, from a draft EMA guidance on computerized systems and electronic data in clinical trials. Traceability is the unbroken chain of comparison to the highest standards. Data should be traceable throughout the data life cycle. Any changes to the data, to the context or metadata should be traceable. This is the simple representation of ALCOA principles and ALCOA Plus principles and ALCOA++ principles. Considerations to meet the regulatory requirements. These are the minimum requirements need to consider for meeting the requirements of regulatory bodies for data integrity. Are controls in place to ensure that data is complete? It means control measures are in place such as review mechanism, audit trails, access privileges, etc. Are activities documented at the time of performance? Are activities attributable to a specific individual? Can only authorized individuals make changes to records, such as user privileges and authorization for making the changes? Is there a record of changes to data? Examples: audit trails, amendment or revision history record, etc. Are records reviewed for accuracy, completeness, and compliance with established standards? Independent review mechanism available for the generated or recorded data to ensure there is no data integrity issues? Are data maintained securely from data creation to disposition after the record's retention period? Below are the common causes for data integrity issues. Human errors such as data entered by mistake, ignorance or not being aware of regulatory requirements, or poor training, willfully, falsification or fraud with the intent to deceive, selection of good or passing results to the exclusion of poor or failing results, unauthorized changes to data post-acquisition, poor documentation practices. Computerized systems are not complying with 21 CFR Part 11. Data transfer errors during transmission data from one computerized system to another. Common data integrity issues. Below are commonly identified data integrity issues in the different regulatory inspections. Common logins or sharing login passwords. It is not possible to identify who creates or changes records, thus it is not attributable. Laboratories have failed to implement adequate controls over data, and unauthorized access to modify, delete, therefore the data may not be original, accurate, or complete. Integration parameters are not controlled, and there is no procedure to define integration. Regulators are concerned over reintegration of chromatograms. Laboratory has turned off the audit trail functionality within the system. It is, therefore, not clear who has modified the file and why. The system configuration for the software does not adequately define or segregate user levels, and users have access to inappropriate software privileges, such as modification of methods and integration. Falsification of test results destroys data or does not have the data necessary to support a test results. Audit trail data not matching with printed chromatograms. Access rights to the computerized systems are not given appropriately. Analyst can able to delete, modify, change configuration settings, and adjust time and data in computerized system. Aborting test runs with no documented justification. Changing the electronic data after approval. Modification or deletion of test results. Reprocessing or manipulation of data of OS so that results will meet the acceptance criteria. Disabling audit trails intermittently to obscure results. Deletion of user account instead of deactivating it. Records are not readily available, data is not backed up and not stored to minimize deterioration and prevent loss of data. Required records were not created at the time the activity was performed or observed. Those are not dated and signed by the person who performed the activity. Laboratory records do not include the initials or signature of a second showing that the original records have been reviewed for accuracy, completeness, compliance with established standards. Case studies helps in better understanding of data integrity issues. Case study 1. Deleted data found in the recycle bin of computerized system associated with UV visible spectrophotometer. During the investigation, it was revealed that an error occurred regarding disk not having enough space on the said date. Hence no audit trail was available and deleted the data. This is the non-compliance to the ALCOA principle available, as the data is not available which was deleted intentionally. Case study 2. This case study is with respect to chromatographic technique. Destruction of chromatographic data and batch sequence printout of aborted HPLC run, and no documentation made for the same. 2 hours after starting the HPLC run sequence, analyst realized that wrong while position given in the run sequence. Analyst destroyed the chromatographic data and batch sequence printouts of aborted HPLC run and did not record the same in any document. This is the non-compliance to the ALCOA plus principle, complete. Control and prevention of data integrity issues. This is very important activity of every management to ensure that there are no data integrity issues in the organization. Below are the controls can be considered for controlling the data integrity issues. 1. Procedural controls. 2. Technology controls. 3. Behavioral controls. Procedural controls. What are procedural controls? Establishment of quality management systems as per the regulatory requirements and ensuring that implementation of procedures and policies across the organization in every level. Allotment of dedicated team for monitoring data integrity issues. Conducting frequent data integrity audits. And also conducting trainings on data integrity issues. Technology controls. What are technology controls? Technology controls plays a very important role in usage of computer systems. This technology controls can be done through implementation of strong IT systems in compliance to the regulatory requirements. Implementation of data privacy controls. Implementation of data security controls. Implementation of electronic controls. Behavioral controls are trainings on code of conduct and ethical behavior. Training on quality culture. It is very important that management should give an equal opportunity to each employee for work-life balance, freedom of expression. It is suggested to train each employee on data integrity and consequences of data integrity issues. Regulators expect the management and all the employees are aware of data integrity requirements. It is important that any employee or management of the organization should not oversight any data integrity issue or potential cause for data integrity issue. Warning letters on data integrity issues. Examples. Your firm failed to exercise appropriate controls over computer or related systems to assure that only authorized personnel institute changes in the master production and control records or other records. It means organization not implemented the access restriction, user privileges, individual user IDs to the computerized system. The findings included failure to implement adequate controls to support the integrity of electronic data and to ensure that only appropriate individuals had administrative rights. Use of a shared generic account to access a laboratory computer, which had administrative privileges capable of changing and deleting files. Failure of management to review high-performance liquid chromatography HPLC audit trails for drug product testing before release of a batch, which was a repeat violation. Inadequate data review procedure and inadequate use of static copies of laboratory records, such as raw chromatograms, processed chromatograms, and audit trails, as they do not preserve the dynamic record format of the full analytical test result, which should be a part of the QA review process for release. Another example of warning letter on data integrity issues. Your quality system does not adequately ensure the accuracy and integrity of data to support the safety, effectiveness, and quality of the drugs you test. It means organization not checked and not ensured that data is accurate, which is having the impact on safety, effectiveness, and quality of the drugs. The findings included batch records lacked information on the drug product release date and were not signed by quality. During the inspection, the quality department could not locate the laboratory test results in the electronic system, and there was inadequate backup of the electronic data. Test results recorded in the laboratory notebook were not legible, and the record was not attributable. To get the latest updates on warning letters Please refer the USFDA website. Good documentation practices are those measures that collectively and individually ensure documentation, whether paper or electronic, is secure, attributable, legible, contemporaneously recorded, original, accurate, complete, consistent, enduring, available and traceable. The purpose of documentation is: it is proof of fact, to meet the regulatory requirements, for quality maintenance and improvement, to improve performance, to minimization of errors. General rules for good documentation. All entries made in documents shall be accurate, clear, and legible. Always record the entries at the time of activity performed. Never sign for someone else on any document. Never discard any record unless retention period completed. Make the entries in chronological order. Make all entries legible, which should be readable. Use consistent date and time formats. Use of personal notebooks, scrap pieces of paper, etc. is not allowed for recording data, all data or information. Data must be recorded into official records. Each document should have page numbers in the format. Page number and total number of pages. Each incorrect entry should be crossed out with single line, and enter the correct entry as near as possible to original entry. Personnel correcting the entry should initial, sign, and date, and enter the correct entry. Never leave the blank spaces in document. Write as not applicable. Original records shall be kept in a safe and secure manner. Individual should only sign for the activity performed. Do not sign prior to work being completed. Softwares and computer systems used in data recording and processing should be validated. All printouts made on thermal sensitive papers must be always photocopied before attaching to report or filing to ensure that preservation of the data for longer time period as per the retention policies of organizations. Handwritten signatures should be unique to individuals. Most of the organizations will take the short signature and long signatures of employees to identify the person who signed for the particular activity. Original documents and records should not be destroyed until the completion of retention period. Thumb rule. If no documentation done means not performed the activity. Each employee should follow their specific organization's procedure for document control, approval, document issuance, revision, retention, retrieval and destruction of documents. Personnel should be trained in data integrity policies and agree to abide by them. Management should ensure that personnel are trained to understand and distinguish between proper and improper conduct, including deliberate falsification, and should be made aware of the potential consequences. Thank you for attending the course.